everyone. I'm Bethany with EXPAT Insurance Services, and today I want to talk about a question that I receive a lot regarding the differences between having a Mexican local plan, which is in pesos, versus an international expat plan that a lot of them are international, but not necessarily all of them. There's so many different types of policies out there. So it's important to work with somebody, a broker and a team who's really going to help get you a plan that's best for you and your specific needs. So the difference between these two plans I want to discuss because they do work very differently. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I tend to offer more of the expat plans because of the value, service, and benefits, but different plans are available to different situations. So I'm not giving any specific recommendation here. I'm just trying to educate people on the differences. Now, with the expat plans, and they typically are in US dollars. That's just common. Whether you're from Canada, from Europe, it's going to be US dollars sometimes. Now, if you're getting a plan from your home country that will cover you internationally, it's probably going to be in your currency from wherever you're getting the quote from. But if you're in Mexico looking at what's popular, what's utilized a lot here, a lot of the plans are going to be in English or Spanish and in US dollars. So keeping that in mind, people think, oh, dollars is expensive. I want something in pesos. And so they'll come to me saying, hey, I want a plan in pesos because it's going to be cheaper. Or I have my residency now. Can I get something that's better? And I just made another video on that topic. So check out that one. But the difference with these two plans is one's in pesos, one's in dollars. However, if you compare the two plans side by side of having the same benefits in each one, they're about the same cost, or sometimes the Mexican policy I find is even more expensive. So you're going to have a deductible on either plan. If you get a plan with very low or no deductible, they are out there, but the cost is going to go way up. So a lot of times people want to keep the cost of their insurance down. So you're going to have a deductible. With the international expat plan, the deductible is per person per year, typically 2 per family combined. So if you had a deductible, I'm just using this as an example, of $1,000 and you have a family of 4, 2 of those people only need to meet their deductible, and it's cumulative. So you're only going to have an exposure of $2,000 for that family for the year. Anything beyond that amount, insurance is covered at 100%, no matter what member of the family is getting the medical care. However, on the Mexican policy, something that's very different is that there is a deductible per incident. And that sounds crazy. It really does, especially if you have children. You might have an illness, being in the hospital for a really bad fever or an infection, or needing something with the ears. I mean, common stuff with kids. That's going to be one deductible. Then, 6 months later, the same child has an accident and they fracture their wrist and they need medical care for that. That's another deductible. So it's going to seem like you're going to be paying deductible after deductible. However, that example I just gave you, some policies have it where there is no deductible for an accident. So that's cool. That's more on the Mexican policies. It's on some of the expat plans, but again, it's just different depending on the plan that you are looking at for between you and your broker. Now, let's say that you have a diagnosis of an ongoing condition, diabetes, and that's diagnosed after you're available for coverage on that policy. And I'll explain why I say that in just a moment. Then that deductible is per lifetime. It's not always per year. So on the Mexican policy, you have that deductible for your condition that you're dealing with of diabetes, and you never have to pay a deductible again. Usually, I'm giving very general terms because you might bring me a policy and be like, hey, Bethany, you said in this video, this is how it is. I mean, there are so many insurance companies with different rules. I'm giving general information here. So that is a difference with the deductibles and how they work between each option. And then you have waiting periods. This is one I don't typically favor with the Mexican policies. On the expat plans, there is a flat waiting period. The company I use a lot of, it's a 30-day waiting period. What that means is that you are covered for accidents and infections from day one. However, if you are diagnosed with cancer or, like I said, diabetes or something during those first 30 days, coverage will not be covered ever for that condition. So that's 30 days. Now, some policies are 120, some are 60, some are 90. You just have to look at each one. But I have 120 days is kind of long. It's usually 30 days or 60 days. I'm just, again, giving general information. On the Mexican policies, it is the same for all of them. There are different waiting periods for different things that you have going on. For example, cancer is 24 months. That means during the first 24 months, if you are diagnosed with cancer, you're never going to be covered for that condition. So it's a long waiting period. There's different things for 12 months, 9 months, 10 months. It will be laid out in your policy documents, but a lot of times people they're not aware of this. So make sure that you're working with somebody who's really going to go over all this information for you. If you're comfortable with those waiting periods and the way that it works, and you qualify for a Mexican policy, great, it could work for you. Just make sure you understand everything. So those are the main differences between the two. There is something called usual, customary, and reasonable charges, UCR, I've mentioned in other videos. This is when the insurance company is only going to pay what's reasonable. If the hospital is trying to charge a huge amount for something that's not reasonable, then the insurance is not going to pay that. So you want to work with an insurance plan that has contracted rates or has a relationship with a hospital to avoid a situation like that. You need to know where to go once you have your insurance. Don't just go to the first hospital you see. Do a little research on emergency planning and what to do. Now, with the Mexican policies, they have something called a tabulator. And that amount has, it's a really long document, and it has, this is how much the company is going to pay for this. Let's go back to the example of a fractured wrist. Or needing just a cast for a part of the body. Could be an ankle, could be whatever. It's going to pay X amount of pesos. That's the same over the whole entire country. So Quintana Roo, for example, where I am, is a little bit more expensive than other parts of the world. So that tabulator amount is not quite enough. So the insurance company will offer coverage that's 2 times, 5 times the tabulator. And you're going to see this and not even realize what the heck's going on. If your broker doesn't explain it to you, you're just going to sign away and it's fine. So make sure that you are getting a policy that's going to have a higher limit of the tabulator so that you have sufficient coverage. If not, if you're only caring about cost, cheap, way down, getting the price way down, you can, because you pay to have extra services added into the policy. If you want a higher deductible and you want, you don't look at something like that tabulator and different things and you get the price way down, people feel great that they're saving money on insurance, which is true. Who wants to pay for insurance? I don't want to pay for insurance either, but it's necessary. So if you're getting the price way down, it's down for a reason. It's cheaper than a reason. When you're comparing 2 policies, again, putting the benefits side by side, the price should be fairly reasonable. Now, I just did a video on, as the price goes up, the older you get as you age. That's another topic to look at. But with the Mexican policies, you typically need to get them before age 60, 65. You need to have them in place. Some of them will cut you off at a certain age. So you cannot keep them for life. So be aware of those things, and you need to have your residency with most plans. So hopefully that helps educate you a little bit on the differences. On the expat plans, you can keep them for life as long as you're paying for the premium year after year. And you can have them, you can get it up to age 74 typically. There are policies that you can get even beyond age 74. But the benefits are scaled down and the price is high. So keep that in mind. Hopefully you found all of this information helpful as you're educating yourself on this topic. Please don't forget to subscribe so you receive notifications of more videos that I'll be putting out to help educate the community on what to expect with their insurance, how to plan properly, and educate yourself. However, if you do have specific questions with your situation, feel free to reach out to myself and my team. All of my contact information is below, and I would be happy to help provide information specific to you. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.